Hey, hello, my name is Kira, and okay, so this is going to be very informal because it's another video I didn't think I'd have to make, but after seeing the responses to my last Charlie video that I didn't think I'd have to make, I just want to address this once and for all, hopefully. The most common arguments in my comment section on Charlie's videos, I'm just really tired of writing the same response. So I'm just going to hit up the arguments I get over and over so I can just reference this video. So yeah, so I'm not going to be pulling all the footage because this is going to be a long ass video. And if I flub a word, I'm sorry. I just, Media analysis is all about setting down a point and then using evidence from the source to back that point up. I don't like Charlie is not evidence from the source. And yes, people saying, well, I don't like Charlie has been a frequent argument against my stance that Charlie had an arc in season 2. I'm not trying to make people like Charlie. I'm trying to argue that she had an arc. But hey, let me just address the most common comments I get that are just general anti-Charlie sentiment. This is long because I pulled my receipts. I really want to be able to address these things thoroughly. And I'm just addressing these most common arguments. This is in no way about Charlie as a whole in the season, but the script is already 12 pages long, so please forgive me. I have a life outside of YouTube, and this isn't a video I necessarily wanted to make. Bonus though, look at my shark earrings. I was trying to find fun earrings for my tutoring session with a first grader and ended up delighting myself way more because these are now my shockwave earrings and you can't take that happiness from me. Okay, so Charlie didn't learn her lesson from season 1. Most of the time, these people don't bother telling me what that lesson was supposed to be, so I have to guess, though some people do, thank you, tell me that it's about Charlie not listening to people, to which I say, she didn't learn to listen to people in season 1. Charlie is shown not to listen to people. It is a flaw. She exhibits it right in episode 1 when she leaves the hotel singing to go meet Adam. She exhibits it in episode 3 when she and Vaggie lead the trust exercises. She exhibits it in episode 4 when she goes to Angel's workplace. She exhibits it in episode 5 when it turns out her and Lucifer have a whole lot of drama. And she continues to exhibit it after Vaggie is revealed as an angel. And they're having their little fight. But in none of these instances is Charlie taught that she needs to stop fixating and listen to people. She might learn something adjacent to that, but nothing comes close to when she calms down in season 2 and apologizes to Vaggie for not listening. So, from episode 3, the trust exercises mayhem, we get Vaggie saying, "I'm sorry I got so crazy today." Charlie says, No, I'm sorry, I put pressure on you. We work as a team." That is the apology. She does not recognize that the underlying problem is her tendency to not listen. She apologizes for putting pressure on Vaggie, and then points out that the hotel guests are actually getting along better. So, an actual positive result. This is a positive result from her not listening. Okay, so episode 4. Charlie says, "I really messed up at the studio," and it wasn't good. Later, she says Husk to not force Angel back to the hotel, just make sure he's safe. "I pushed too hard earlier and I only made things worse." Reminder, this is when she confronted Val, started to go all demon on his ass, and Angel basically had to shove her out the door with a brand new black eye because she had already helped enough. Then we get, "Now if you'll excuse me, I'm going to write 100 apology letters and a lesson plan for tomorrow about boundaries." Then, when Angel comes back to the hotel, she hugs him and says, "I'm so sorry, Angel. I promise I won't ever. And then Angel interrupts her. He says, "Charlie, it's fine. I get it. Thanks for caring about me." And then she starts crying and sobbing about how beautiful it was. Once again, this is a positive result. She doesn't even get to finish saying what she's sorry for before Angel cuts it off and thanks her for caring about him. We can see the pattern emerge, right? Why would Charlie be learning to listen to people when her old ways lead to positive results? And if she were to actually learn a lesson, it would be about boundaries, which ties into another argument I've had a lot. So I want to put it here just as an aside. a long aside, I'm sorry. People saying that Charlie didn't learn her lesson when it comes to the V's. First of all, of course she didn't. Look how Angel forgave her. But moreover, the situation with her going to Val's studio and inviting Vox and Velvet over is very different. With Val, Charlie wanted to go be aggressively kind to ask if Angel could have more time at the hotel because he was missing out on activities. She went to Val's studio, tried to play the I am the Princess of Hell card, which Veggie actually encouraged her to do, and Angel was immediately trying to push her out the door before she could encounter Val, which he was notably panicked about. His words, please, just wait until I'm done working and we will talk about this, but first you gotta go. But then Val realizes she's there. Angel keeps trying to signal to Charlie to not engage, but Val invites her to stay. She causes problems for the production. Fire. Then, of course, Val gets Angel in the dressing room, and we know what happens in there. Contrast this to inviting Vox and Velvet over, which she doesn't actually do, technically. First of all, the hotel is her space. She has control over it. She did not have control over Val's studio. When Vox and Velvet arrived, there were a number of fail-safes. Veggie has an angelic weapon. Husk is there. Hell, Nifty is there. They thought Alistair was going to be there, but the fact that he left couldn't actually be blamed on Charlie, but rather that Veggie made a deal a season ago that he couldn't be made to deal with the noisy picture box ever again. So even if they challenged him on leaving like that, he already had a way out that he does take the moment Vox walks into the hotel. But even Husk says later that Alistair is probably floating around. Worst comes to worst, Lucifer is there. Charlie doesn't know he can't hurt sinners. Vox didn't know that either, so point is the hotel is packed with people who are on Charlie's side, as opposed to her going to Val's studio alone to find Angel. Also, she didn't invite Vox and Velvet. Charlie sends a strongly worded email to Vox Tech to send their top reporter to clear the hotel's name because she's currently being blimped as a dictator. Veggie says this is a bad idea. She's right. This is Charlie not listening. But it isn't an invitation to Vox and Velvet. Charlie thought she was getting a normal journalist, not two overlords. But of course the interview starts bad, gets worse, and then Vox and Velvet make like they're gonna leave, which is when Charlie promises to redeem someone on camera. Up until this point, she is the only person who has interacted with Vox and Velvet. No one even comments until they see Charlie in the little sharing circle with the two of them. This is when Veggie is like, what the fuck? And when Angel speaks out, you're aware those two crazy fucks hang out with my shit fuck boss Valentino. So finally here is when we get Angel actually having to deal with the V's. He gets understandably upset, worried that Vox is broadcasting to Val. He feels unsafe in what should be his safe space. But tell me where Charlie would have learned this lesson before. Because before it was respecting Angel's boundaries, but specifically not going to his place of work and causing problems because that is what he got mad about. But then forgave her without any lasting consequences. In contrast, this has been a case of Vox and Velvet barging into the hotel and Charlie believing that this is her chance to turn the media machine around, to stop bashing the hotel, and instead tell hell that redemption is possible. So, should Charlie have turned Vox and Velvet around and pushed them out the door? Yes, that ultimately would have been best for Angel Dust. Is it understandable that when she links redemption to her mother coming home, Charlie would not want to do something that would immediately turn all of Vox Tech's powers against her? I think that is true as well. It's another example of Charlie making the wrong choice because she's so hyperfixated on the idea of redemption and believes she can handle this. Now, Angel warns Charlie that the V's are bad news, but she assures him that she talked to Vox. He just wants to put out a special. They just have to redeem someone. And the rest is Charlie continuing to hyperfixate. When Charlie tries to apologize to Angel, for the whole train thing, he cuts her off by saying, "It's fine, I know you didn't mean it." So again, Charlie doesn't learn from this. This isn't Angel's fault. A lot of us do this because it ends the conflict and we just don't want to be in the conflict anymore. However, it also means that the other person doesn't really have to internalize the lesson because there are no lasting negative consequences. Charlie has not learned boundaries with Angel Dust. So, note to ourselves, when someone is apologizing to you, let them finish. It forces them to really consider what they did to hurt you and work on not repeating that behavior. Do not brush it aside as okay just so the argument is over. They hurt you. It's not okay. Has-been is just showing us really human behavior. Anyway, Angel does actually try to bring up the lesson on boundaries when Charlie asks to learn about his sin, but again, what lesson? She never learned it. Angel might have thought she did, but what he gave Charlie was an instant apology and thanks for caring about me. i.e., positive outcomes for her overstepping those boundaries. But anyway, I think the conversation that follows is important. Angel says, remember that lesson on boundaries. Again, she never learned it, and this is Angel trying to take a lesson on physical boundaries and expanding it to boundaries as a whole, which is a whole different game. Lots of people learn about physical boundaries, like not to grab a person, before they learn about other sorts of boundaries, like not calling someone names or respecting their privacy. Boundaries are physical, mental, emotional, societal, individual. There is no magic lesson for anyone where they suddenly understand all boundaries. Angel here is expressing a more mature, rounded point of view of someone who hasn't had a sheltered existence, but Charlie isn't going to follow him there. And Charlie is not the only character who fails to respect boundaries. Angel himself pushes boundaries all the time with Husk in a way that used to make Husk feel uncomfortable. The difference with Angel and Charlie is that Husk changed what he was comfortable with. Angel still makes the same sorts of sexual innuendos, but they're all right to make now, which makes it more of a Husk thing than an Angel thing, so the argument can be made that Angel failed to learn about boundaries because those boundaries were shifted to include the behavior that used to bother Husk. I don't want to get too much into it, but simply want to say that boundaries is not a Charlie-only thing. But getting back to the scene, Charlie. She says, oh, come on, we won't judge you, because she assumes judgment is what Angel is afraid of. She's sort of right. She says, you can tell me, then we can redeem you. Angel says, it ain't that easy, Charlie, now drop it. At this, she has stopped smiling. She's no longer with her, oh, come on, face. She is, at this point, hearing Angel's words. She's hearing that he's serious. Might she have continued trying to convince him? Maybe. We don't know. This is when Vox steps in. Charlie watches the exchange, looking pretty horrified. Not when Vox drops that Angel is a murderer, but at the whole interaction. After Vox asks if Angel's dad hit him, Charlie is going full demon form. Hey, that's enough. Vox, whoa, ho, ho, careful, princess. That's no way to speak to a guest. You asked, I answered. Charlie says, you can shit on me, you can mock me, but I won't allow you to push my friends around like that, okay? I don't care who you are. I think it's time you two leave. So that is Charlie asserting her authority at the hotel in a way she couldn't when visiting Val's studio and keeping Angel safe when Vox actually presents a threat. So when we're talking about Charlie and the V's and how Charlie should have learned from Val to not invite Vox and Velvet over, the situations are very different. The hotel is Charlie's space where she is shown to be capable of forcing people out when they overstep. She is surrounded by safeguards, like Vaggie is the one to point her spear at Vox when they don't immediately leave. Charlie did not actually mean for Vox and Velvet to be the ones to come over. Should she have turned them away? Yes. Did Charlie learn this lesson before? No. These are new types of boundaries, and she wasn't held accountable for them anyway. When we see Charlie actually learn lessons is when she holds herself accountable, even when people try to give her an out. Just saying sorry and receiving a pat on the head does not a lesson make. So Charlie never learned the lesson on boundaries that Angel seems to think she did. And of course she isn't really listening to him because, so that's Charlie not learning her lesson about the V's and how it relates to listening to Angel Dust. So back on topic to Charlie not listening. Episode 5 of Season 1, we get the clusterfuck that is Charlie and Lucifer's miscommunications. Now, I will address this in another video because I think Lucifer was actually poorly written in Season 2, and I want to be able to explain that. But Dad Beat Dad does actually show Charlie learning to listen and getting positive output from that. It's when she stops projecting onto her father and actually listens to him talking about or singing about his fear of heaven, of losing it all, and then opens up herself about her own feelings towards him, that the two reconcile. So talking it out actually leads to good feelings, even if it means her having to be mad at him for a little bit. It's actually an extended period of Charlie being awkward / annoyed / mad at her dad before she finally admits that what she really wants is for him to support her. Which links to what I was saying before about apologies. They're no good if the emotion isn't there. In this case, the emotion was definitely there, and Charlie learned a good lesson about not seeing people in black and white terms, which is what she was doing to her dad, even though Charlie is usually so forgiving. This is the spot I will slide on, because in episode 5 of season 2, Charlie is willing to blame everything on her dad despite the angels showing up with gift baskets. This is like when she accused him of telling the exorcist to just come on down and kill everyone, despite no evidence that's how that conversation went down. So, for someone who had previously benefited from seeing things from her dad's point of view, the fact she was so angry she didn't even consider where he was coming from does seem like a backslide there, but it's not one that I ever hear about. Like, no one's talked about that specifically to me. So, yeah, the place I'm willing to cede ground is where nobody apparently wants the ground. But she's also projecting hard again in season 2, and Lucifer, for as much as we know, has always been her first target. Probably because they're so similar. So I don't think this one is like that's surprising that if she starts to do this behavior again, dad becomes the first target. Okay, then we get Charlie not listening to Vaggie after the angel reveal. I don't think this one is complicated at all. She basically talks to Rosie about how she still loves Vaggie, and the two make up when they meet back at the hotel after gathering weapons and cannibals. So Charlie never truly learned to listen in season 1. The closest she got was with her dad and how she really blamed him for things in an unfair manner. But when it comes to Vaggie and Angel, she never actually had a conversation that was about listening. There was putting pressure on Vaggie. There was this broad idea of boundaries and an apology that didn't force her to actually take accountability. There was no point of Charlie actually having to reflect on how her actions hurt people. That's what's different about season 2. So, going to season 2, after Vox and Velvet leave the hotel, Charlie says, Angel, I'm so sorry, can we please talk? Angel says, no, sorry starts to lose meaning after a while, Charlie, but I suppose I should be grateful you're willing to apologize to someone as shitty as me, right? Charlie says, Angel, no, you're my friend, no matter what happened. Angel, at least now you know what you're working with. Why don't you go ask Vox next time you need to pry up more shit about my life? Charlie says, Angel, I didn't realize I didn't. And then Vaggie says, give him some space. So the conversation is over. So here is where Charlie actually learns a lesson. That's what's different from season 1. Angel tells her sorry isn't enough. It starts to lose meaning. And it is clear that he is hurt and that it was Charlie allowing Vox and Velvet into the hotel that allowed this to happen. Because she says sorry, but the negative consequences of her actions outweigh the word, therefore, her actions lead to negative consequences in a way that isn't soothed over. Now, if Charlie pulls this sort of stunt in season 3, call them out. Charlie cannot hurt Angel and expect an I'm sorry to be all she needs to fix whatever is broken between them. It will require her actually putting in the work, putting in action to accompany the word to earn that apology. Charlie cannot refuse to listen to Angel when he warns her and then think an I'm sorry is enough when the people he said were dangerous end up hurting him or others. Likewise, we get the difference between Charlie apologizing to Vaggie in season 2. Before, she doesn't even acknowledge that she doesn't listen to Vaggie. But in episode 5, Vaggie calls her out on it. Charlie's like, well, why didn't you ask me? In response to Lucifer crashing the party. Vaggie says, because you aren't listening to me. You're hyperfixating on what he, Vox, is saying about you. Because he's hurting the hotel. He is ruining Charlie. You're hurting the hotel. I know it sucks what Vox is doing, but you're playing right into his game. What? How can you even say that? Are you not on my side? I am, but being on your side means telling you the truth. I am worried about you. Well, don't be. If you don't care about what I'm trying to do, then I can just do it myself. See how much better this is? Just like how Angel was so much better at actually calling Charlie out for her behavior, here Vaggie actually tells Charlie that A, she isn't listening to her, B, she's hurting the hotel, and C, being on her side means having to tell Charlie the truth. The truth that she doesn't want to hear. The honesty here in what Vaggie says is what makes Charlie's apology in the next episode actually mean something. Now, we know from the start that her apology is different. She's built this little fort, made a cake, made tea. She has prepped for this apology. It isn't encountering Vaggie and glossing over a fight or saying sorry right away. It's taking actions and thinking about what she has done as she takes those actions that indicates she's actually really been thinking about it. Like, she doesn't just give the cake as a gift. It means that as she was making the cake, she was thinking about this apology to Vaggie. Like, it's deeper than just giving a cake, if you know what I mean. And she doesn't start with sorry. She starts with, I thought about what you said. Right away, she's acknowledging that Vaggie's words are important and that Charlie has been reflecting on them. Already, the difference is huge. This is such a massive, massive improvement over any apology she made in season 1, because here she has actually thought about what Vaggie said and taken steps to make sure her apology actually has weight. She wants a space that is just the two of them able to talk. She doesn't start with sorry, but I've been thinking about what you said. And then she lets Vaggie talk as well. Now, Charlie is able to tell Vaggie the truth about why she was hyperfixating, and I love that for her. We actually understand Charlie now, that she thinks if she proves redemption is possible, Lilith might come back. It's just a great conversation all around. But when it comes to the apology, she talks about how she was hyperfixating on the lies about her mom, and how Vaggie was right, admitting fault. Then she presents her cake, but what's important is that Vaggie says, it's okay, I know it's been hard on you, I just also know it was only making things worse to engage with it. And it's hard sometimes to feel like you aren't hearing me. And here, Charlie actually looks like really sad at that particular statement. Her facial expression changes. At Vaggie, like, telling the truth. And Vaggie says, but I just want you to know it's okay. I still love you. So offering an easy way out. And here Charlie shows her growth. It's not okay. I got so caught up in all the drama and my mom. And here she gives the reason she's been acting this way. Because if she makes the hotel work, Lilith might come back and tell Charlie what she did wrong to drive her away. She then admits to driving everyone away, to Carmilla being right that Charlie started the war. She starts to spiral again here and being a hypocrite. Like, she holds herself accountable even when Vaggie offered the easy way out. She explained herself without excusing herself. That's how an apology should work. I thought about what you said. I considered your words. I treated them as important. You were right. And then she doesn't let Vaggie use I love you as a way to end the fight. It's not okay. It's not okay that she makes Vaggie feel like she isn't heard. And then Charlie explains why she has been doing this. And it isn't to gain Vaggie's forgiveness, because Vaggie already gave that. It's honestly trying to explain why she crashed out so hard. And this ties in perfectly to the end of Charlie's arc when she makes Vaggie the manager and herself the head counselor. She gives Vaggie the authority Charlie failed to use correctly. She proves to Vaggie that she trusts her, that she hears her, and that she's going to focus on helping sinners find redemption instead of running the hotel, because Vaggie is just better at that. So Season 2 Charlie actually has to learn the importance of apologies and how they require more than just saying sorry. She actually gets confronted with the fact she doesn't listen to people, and that it hurts them. This actually means something. So, if in Season 3, Charlie is still not listening to people and throws out, I'm sorry's, without actually knowing what she's apologizing for, I will gladly stand in the picket line about how she regressed from Season 2. But Charlie did not learn to listen in Season 1. In fact, she often got rewarded with positive results when she didn't listen. So people just told her it was okay without actually making her think about her actions. Or it was like, oh, the hotel is actually doing better now. Or, thanks for listening to me. It's just, she didn't learn. Now, I think sometimes people talk about Charlie not learning her lesson to prevent her from going on with Katie Killjoy, but that just seems a little silly to me because, once again, the details are everything here. Vox Tech put out a special on the hotel that misused footage, had fake interviews, and was packaged perfectly to go along with the dictator Morningstar image that Vox was already selling. So, lesson? Don't get Vox and Velvet involved. And don't let them take footage like that. Obvious answer, go live. That way they can't twist your words. Charlie is still going through the media battle because she links redemption to her mom. Like she says, Vox can shit on her, but the idea of redemption is more important. So if Charlie is still going to try to make her case on television, she should do it live. It does actually make sense. She doesn't want the last thing Hell hears about the hotel to be that Vox Tech special. She brings Nifty because Hell loves Nifty. Nifty killed Adam. She was a bit of a celebrity in episode 1. Why not bring Vaggie? Well, Vaggie is sort of an ex-exorcist who did recently get called out by Carmilla for being obvious, so it makes sense to not put Vaggie in front of a camera. But again, I think the differences are obvious, and I'm not even spiraling. Charlie's decision to try a live broadcast instead of one where footage can be manipulated is not a bad one. Her decision to do so without any media training was a bad one. Okay, another thing I get repeated in the comments section, besides talking about how Charlie didn't learn her lesson from season 1, I get people saying she had the same arc. I'm confused about that one. Season 1 was about Charlie becoming more sure of herself and her ability to lead Hell against the extermination. Charlie starts the season by being pushed around, but ends it by accepting the Princess of Hell part of herself. It's perfectly encapsulated by Ready for This, where the musical, this is the musical number where Charlie sings about coming into her own, coming into her throne. While Charlie does still want to give people a chance, she was also willing to stand against heaven in You Didn't Know to directly confront the angels about the extermination and about how heaven itself must be a lie. She no longer is willing to lie down and let people walk all over her, which does actually contribute to the problems she causes in season 2, because Charlie has recently learned that she does have power and the ability to wield it, so she ends up taking on more than she can chew. So, season 2, Charlie is failing to prove redemption is possible, even after she learns that Serpentius was redeemed. She does not sway Vox and Velvet to her side during a disastrous visit to the hotel and decides that an on-air interview is better because they can't cut the footage the way Vox and Vel did. It does not go better. Charlie then becomes fixated on contacting Heaven so they can prove redemption is possible. By the time the angels show up, though, Vox has consolidated enough power that the angels appearing alongside Lucifer's attempt at intimidation gives him enough authority to declare war. Charlie blames her dad and tells him to leave the hotel and has a fight with Vaggie over Charlie not listening to Vaggie and letting her hyperfixation hurt the hotel. Charlie is left alone with her mother still not picking up the phone and her closest allies estranged. She begins the upward part of her arc by apologizing to Vaggie, listening to her when Vaggie talks about how it hurts when it feels like Charlie isn't hearing her, therefore addressing a problem that has always been there in their relationship. She opens up about her true feelings regarding redemption and her mom, and then, after failing to contact her dad, they rally the hotel together to rescue Angel, get Serpentius on the big screen, and stop Vox. Charlie helps Emily and the Overlords prevent the weapon from killing them all, and then ends the season by making Vaggie the manager and herself the head counselor, because Vaggie is more suited to taking care of the hotel as a whole, where Charlie's gentler nature makes her more suited to making sinners feel welcome and start them on a better path, as was demonstrated perfectly with Serpentius, who was given the space to become better after Charlie allowed him to stay in the hotel despite being a spy. It's also shown when Angel actually goes after Charlie asking about having their little therapy session because it is helping him. These seem like very different arcs. I don't know about you, but one arc is about Charlie embracing the power behind being the Princess of Hell and rallying an army and fighting Adam, and one arc is about her taking personal responsibility for the people she hurt and stepping down as hotel manager so she can't put the hotel in the same sort of peril again. if we were to graph these arcs on the emotional ups and downs, season 1 would dip right near the end when the hotel is destroyed, as this is Charlie's lowest point. Not saying she doesn't have other low points, but this was the despairing moment of nearly giving up. And season 2 is a lovely parabola because she hits rock bottom at the end of episode 5. They're not the same. Okay, Charlie was annoying. I get this so much. Okay, yes. They did that on purpose. God forbid a character be annoying. Oh, but she can annoy the other characters, but not the audience. Okay. Please give me an example. Maybe I'm just one of those obnoxious, super empathetic people, but when a character is meant to be forcing all of their allies away, I'm probably going to find their actions a little irksome. Like, please, give me an example of a character who manages to drive absolutely everyone who was on their side away without ever being annoying to the audience, and it isn't allowed to be a villain arc. I would love an example. Like, I really would. Drop an example if you have one. But be warned, I even get annoyed with Frodo, and I know full well he's carrying the ring. But when he gets angry with Sam, poor little Samwise Gamgee, now at that point, I'm a little bit annoyed at Frodo. So it isn't that I didn't find Charlie's actions annoying, it's just apparently a character is never allowed to be annoying. And honestly, she wasn't really even that annoying to me, and she was able to articulately explain why she got caught up in things, which is the important part, that she was able to explain why she spiraled like that. I'm able to forgive a girl who makes up for her actions and commits to change. I don't know, I just feel like a lot of people these days, I guess, will see a character who has a bad week for understandable reasons, but apparently that just makes them the worst, like unforgivable. And for the many flaws has, I will say it does go at issues with real feelings. Like, the characters might be exaggerated, but the reason I think people connect to this show, to the characters, is because the emotions are real. We get stuff like parental blame, projection, hyperfixation, self-victim blaming, internalized shame, all of these really deep and sometimes hurtful feelings that get played by cartoon characters. Like, yeah, that guy has a TV for a head, but I relate to this character's state of self-imposed loneliness because I too fear the loss that always comes as the inevitable partner to companionship. Like, I guess I fail to see where people are willing to forgive some characters for being worse people, treating others worse, but then can't forgive Charlie for crashing out over the thing she thinks might bring her mom back, so her mom can tell her what she did wrong to make her leave. Like, how annoying would I be to come out of this season like, wow, Vox was such a great villain. Like, you know, I hope we see him again and get more development, but also, like, Charlie was so annoying, she's my least favorite character now. Like, I could not take myself seriously if I was like that. I couldn't even be like, Vox was the villain and was villainy and evil and shit, when the thing that made him interesting to me, even as he was doing awful villain shit, were the real human feelings of rejection and ambition wrapped with insecurity. So if I'm going to love a character due to the humanity I found in them, I can't in good conscience in myself then blame another character for the humanity in them and say somehow that Charlie is a cartoon, so she isn't allowed to be annoying, but Vox has these interesting human qualities I like that makes me like him even after he tortures people and strips them of their autonomy. I just like not feeling like a hypocrite when I think about a show, so if I'm going to give one character grace, I am going to extend it to them all. Except Valentino. No offense if you like Valentino, I am not the fandom police and believe in the line between fiction and reality, but I really can't give Val any grace. So that is my hypocrisy that I will definitely admit to. Let's see, I hit up Charlie, didn't learn anything, Charlie had the same arc, Charlie is annoying. There's always people who are like, you're wrong, but don't elaborate, which is too bad because I'm making this video, so I would have liked to know what other arguments I should have covered. And then there's just general misogyny, you know the deal. Especially when we can compare protagonists from Helliverse shows, and one is immeasurably worse to all the people around him than the other, and yet is forgiven for basically everything. Like, it doesn't bother me that you forgive him. It bothers me that you can't also forgive Charlie. And then people, like, just going on and on and on about why they hate Charlie, you'd think that she personally Christy gnomed their dog. But Charlie is a generally positive and earnest person who prefers to believe in others and wants to find a way to make her home a better place while working off feelings of guilt surrounding her mom leaving. I guess that's just hate her for that? Like, God, that's the worst? That's fine. We all have our things. It's just weird when people are like, God, she's so happy, I hate it, or God, she, wants to trust people, I hate it, And when I say, maybe you shouldn't watch the show if Charlie makes you as angry as you seem in my comments, I'm not being sarcastic or trying to be mean. I drop shows when they start being a negative impact on my life instead of a positive. If Charlie really makes you that angry, if you hate her that much, then it just honestly might be best to disengage. It's like when I watch a video that I don't agree with. I generally just leave after I'm done watching it. I don't give it a like because I didn't like it. I don't leave a dislike because I don't know. I just don't do that unless they're like being a bad person in the video. But I certainly don't leave a comment because then I'm engaging with someone I know I'm already going to disagree with and who has made their stance clear. If I was actually going to talk with this person about their points that I disagreed with, the YouTube's comment section is not the place to do it. That deserves like actual talking or at least a chat, like a Discord chat or something. YouTube is not conducive to constructive conversation. But that's just how I keep my blood pressure down. Stop engaging with things that bring negativity into your life and don't go searching out pointless conflict. It works wonders and I wish I'd employed it sooner, like my 20s would have been so much easier. But I love Charlie, and unfortunately my top sim trait is contrarian, so every time someone tries to convince me to hate her, I just love her more, so she's like right up at the tippy top at this point. Yeah, so thanks for sticking around. I know, thanks for sticking around. I can't believe I made such short little videos about Charlie and then was like, okay, here come the direct quotes, but whatever. I'm going to make videos about Lucifer and about the songs, maybe a season review because someone mentioned that. I'm not sure on that one, but I have more videos coming out. So if you're interested in those, you can check those out, and I genuinely hope that you're doing well. And I do hope that me pulling evidence from the show, using direct quotes, making a longer, if informal video, helped in some way explain my counter-arguments to the counter-arguments that I see repeatedly. Like, I'm just laying this out as best as I can. But all of you take care wherever and whenever you are, and maybe I'll see you later. Bye. Also, thank you to Michael B., Richard B., Lavi Pastel Queen, and Sylvan for being silver or above tier members on my Patreon. I really appreciate everyone who goes check that out. I do have free content on there. You don't have to subscribe. It's just free. So, yeah. Again, I hope you're doing well. Take care. Bye.